At Adaba FM, we'll not only give you news at the speed of nanosecond, but we'll also break it down with up-to-date analysis, informed opinions, and distinct professionalism. That's why you love us. Adaba 88.9 FM, your go-to station.
The time is 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Olajumoke or Motor Show with Urban News 3 in the news. Over 60,000 soldiers recruited under Buhari's administration. Teenager in trouble for raising false alarm in Lagos. Niger governor sacks religious aid while on special assignment in Saudi Arabia.
This is the news.
President Muhammadu Buhari says over 60,000 soldiers were recruited under his watch, saying his administration funded the military to ensure an increase in the fighting power of the Nigerian army. Buhari said the federal government's interventions and budgetary allocation to the army between 2020 and 2022 alone has been able to procure hundreds of mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, troops carrying vehicles, utility vehicles, tanks and armored personnel carriers to augment those earlier procured from 2017 to 2022. Also, he noted that significant numbers of new fighting and utility vehicles, along with artillery guns, machine guns, rifles, and correspondent ammunition were acquired and inducted into various theaters of operations. The president emphasized that the army had structured the conduct of its operations to meet current realities, saying the quantum of platforms induced into the army since 2015 had enabled troops to take the battle to terrorists and criminals, particularly in the northeast.
Re-declaration and rehabilitation through Operation Safe Corridor. This feat has continued to be replicated in other theaters of operation within the country, leading to the resettlement of internally displaced persons to their ancestral homes and restoration of economic activities, in addition to the contribution of the Nigerian Army to global peace through peace support operations. Furthermore, the creation of the Army Aviation is one of the major aspects of the ongoing expansion process in the Nigerian Army.
Buhari said his administration has facilitated the approval of the Manual for Financial Administration, which has greatly enhanced the payment of allowances of troops. The federal government has declared Monday, May 1 as public holiday to mark this year's Workers' Day celebration. The Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, made the declaration on behalf of the federal government. The minister, in a statement by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Shoaib Bagore, said the celebration be marked with a total solidarity forever, celebrating the collective strength of Nigerian workers. Aregbesola quoted from the International Trade Union Anthem to express deep solidarity with workers. He congratulated workers across the country on this year's celebration. He commended them for their resilience, hard work, diligence, and sacrifice, noting that their contributions are essential for the greatness of the country and the dignity. Cholera remains a global pandemic, which is a threat to public health. The reemergence of the disease has been associated with the ever-increasing size of vulnerable populations living in unsanitary conditions, as spelled out by the World Health Organization (WHO). In this special report, Adaba FM's Olubumi Olasunji finds out where Ondo State stands in this global health challenge and the impacts on residents. A report.
Cholera is an acute diarrhea infection caused by injection of food or water contaminated with the bacterium Vibrio cholera, and its transmission is closely linked to inadequate access to clean water and sanitation facilities. The 2023 latest report from the Nigerian Center for Disease and Prevention Control reveals that over 1,000 suspected cases of cholera have been reported from 12 states, including Ondo. Adaba FM spoke with the Disease Surveillance and Notification Officer, Primary Healthcare Agency in Ondo State, Bakari Adebayo, refuted claims of cholera outbreak in Ondo State.
The last cholera outbreak happened in 2020, Odigbo local government area, precisely Shasha in Ore. Since that time till date, there have not been any outbreak. Though we have collected so many samples, but they turned out negative. There are reported cases, but there are no positive cases. If there is no positive cases, we cannot declare an outbreak.
However, it listed some of the activities of the government to maintain a very clean environment to wage war against the killer disease.
The surveillance officers, they are doing active case search, and sensitization is ongoing and majorly on IPC. That is washing of your hands before putting your hands to mouth. Because cholera disease is fecal-oral transmission disease. That is disease that transmitted through your hands to your mouth. Number one source of this infection is contaminated water and food. But the issue of sanitation is handled by the people from the environment and all the management, waste management board. And I think they are doing their best and they are making sure that the environment is clean to a certain extent.
The Disease Surveillance and Notification Officer advised residents to imbibe hygienic living in order to tackle cholera outbreak.
Make hand washing an habit, a lifestyle. That's number one. Then ensure that you cook your food very well before eating it. You should not expose your food to flies. We should avoid buying fruits, eating them without washing. Those are the ways through which cholera bacteria enter into our systems.
Meanwhile, many health advocacies have continued to call for the provision of safe water and sanitation, which they say is critical to prevent and control the transmission of cholera and other waterborne diseases. Olubumi Olatunji, Adaba FM News.
The magistrate court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos State, has sentenced the teenager Solomon Uzoko to 1 month imprisonment for making fake calls to emergency respondents. Uzoko was convicted of the 2-count charge of raging the public peace and making false fire emergency call. Magistrates Bambo Odueke gave a ruling with an optional fine and a month of community service campaign against false calls within the jurisdiction of the state. However, the defendant opted for the fine after he pleaded guilty to the charge. The director of Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Mrs. Margaret Adisheye, said the ruling followed the court's acknowledgement of the noble firefighting profession and the effective service delivery of the agency that required the encouragement of all and sundry. She also expressed delight in the swift prosecution of the case to serve as deterrent to other misguided citizens who are in the habit of making false calls and misleading emergency responders. You're listening to the Beniza 3 on 88.9 FM Akure, transmitting from Ilaramoki. After the break, Niger governor sacks religious aid while on special assignment in Saudi Arabia. Please stay tuned. Details shortly.
Warm greetings from Achievers University, Owo, a private university with distinction.
Everybody, oh yeah, denki, kebulo. Denki, wire. Denki. Now so, the only thing with denki sabi na wire and cable. Of the company where they manufacture wire and cable for Nigeria, denki na number one. No wonder we electrical contractors they recommend denki wire and cable. Now den choice. Denki now good member of Cable Manufacturers Association of Nigeria with a government endorsement plus including Boku Award with them carry. My friend, if you they talk wire and cable, they talk denki for surface cable, control cables, armor cable, if you're overhead conductor, single core cable plus including multiple core cable. Na Denki dey do am. Quality and reliable. Then factory address na Olufom area, kilometer 1, Akura Ife Expressway, Akure, Ondo State. Telephone 091-6385-5995. Website na www.denkiwire.com. They need distributors nationwide. Oh, Denki. Let there be light. Everybody, oh yeah, Denki cable. Denki wire. Now so the only thing with Denki sabi na wire and cable. Of the company where they manufacture wire and cable for Nigeria, Denki na number 1. No wonder we electrical contractors they recommend Denki wire and cable. Now then choice Denki now good member of Cable Manufacturers Association of Nigeria with a government endorsement plus including Boku Award with them carry. My friend, if you they talk wire and cable, they talk Denki for surface cable, control cables, armor cable. If na overhead conductor, single core cable plus including multiple core cable. Na Denki they do am. Quality and reliable. Then factory address na Olufom area, kilometer 1, Akura Ife Expressway, Akure, Ondo State. Telephone 091-6385-5995. Website na www.denkiwire.com. They need distributors nationwide. Oh, Denki. Let there be light.
Glad to have you back for news update and live streaming. Visit our website www.adaba889.fm or download Adaba FM app on Google Play Store. You can be part of us on the social media platforms www.facebook.com/Adaba FM 889 on Facebook, at Adaba 889FM on Instagram and on Twitter, and Adaba FM TV on YouTube. To provide this information via email, newsroom@adaba889.fm. Now to rest of the bulletin. Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has removed the Executive Secretary of the State Pilgrims Board, Alhaji Makin Lapai, from office while on assignment in Saudi Arabia. The announcement of his sack was contained in a statement by the Secretary to the Government of Niger State, Hamed Ibrahim Matani. It was learned that Lapai was on a special official assignment to Saudi Arabia when he was sacked and replaced. The reasons he was removed are unknown, as Lapai has been applauded in recent times for conducting the best pilgrim programs in the past years. Niger Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, in a statement by the SSG, announced the approval of the appointment of Muhammad Awal Aliu as the new Executive Secretary of the State Pilgrims Welfare Board. The federal government, through the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, has established the Agriculture and Mineral Resources International Organization for Standardization Certification Laboratory in Abuja. Reports say the newly established lab is aimed at analyzing agro and mineral resources produced in accordance with international standards for exportation. Deputy Director, Engineering Design Development and Technical Assistant in the Council, Mr. Obasi Etu, said the laboratory will curb the short-changing of exporters by their investors. And on sport, Algeria, Botswana, Egypt, and the joint bid of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are just the 6 countries that have indicated interest to host the 2027 African Cup of Nations. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has declared the 6 countries submitted their bids before the expiration of the deadline set by CAF. Algeria hosted and won the AFCON in 1990 and are seeking to welcome the rest of Africa again, while Egypt have hosted the competition 4 times in 1974, 1986, 2006, and 2019. Botswana and the joint bid of Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania have never hosted a competition before. CAF is expected to embark on inspection visits to the bidding nations between June 1st and July 15th before the CAF Executive Committee will make a decision at a date to be later communicated. Cameroon hosted the last held competition last year, where the Ivory Coast next in line for the 2023 edition delayed until January next year. To end, at the News at 3, a recap of the top stories. President Muhammad Buhari says over 60,000 soldiers were recruited under his watch, saying his administration funded the military to ensure an increase in the fighting power of the Nigerian army. The magistrate court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos State, has sentenced the teenager Solomon Uzoko to 1 month imprisonment for making fake calls to emergency responders. I told the Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello has removed the Executive Secretary of the State Programs Board, Alhaji Makin Lapai, from office while on official assignment in Saudi Arabia. That's Ebenezer 3, has edited by Olainka Ujo. I'm Olajumoke or Motor Show, saying good afternoon and thanks for listening.